very good morning and welcome to the Breakfast News on Rajya Sabha Television. My name is Aishwarya Kapoor. A Naxal attack in Chhattisgarh, Sukma is our top story this morning. Home Minister Rajnath Singh is to reach Raipur today, even as the Prime Minister Narendra Modi says that a sacrifice of martyrs will not go in vain. That and much more in this bulletin. Let us start with the headlines. 25 CRPF Jawans martyred in ambush by Naxals in Sukma in Chhattisgarh. Home Minister to reach Raipur today says the centre sees this as a challenge. Vice President Mohammad Hamid Ansari to hold delegation-level talks with Armenian Prime Minister. Host of agreements expected to be inked. Defence Minister Arun Jaitley says the most acts of terrorism worldwide will have some links to Pakistan. Blames Islamabad for strained ties during his US visit. Centre suggests a 12-digit unique number for cows to stop their smuggling. Tells Supreme Court, a committee headed by Joint Secretary in Home Ministry tasked with the job. And ahead of French presidential runoff, Marine Le Pen steps aside as leader of National Front Party to focus on campaigning. Move as all defeated parties rally against her. Our top story this morning, 25 CRPF personnel were martyred in ambush by Maoists in Chhattisgarh on Monday. 7 personnel have also been injured. The Jawans were providing security for a road project in the sensitive area. Here are all the details.
नक्सलियों ने पहले गांव वालों को भेजा हमारी लोकेशन चेक करने के लिए, तो गांव वालों के हाथ में हथियार नहीं, हम गोली कैसे मारे उनको। बाकी उनके बाद में नक्सलियों ने लगभग 300 स्ट्रेंथ थी नक्सलियों की, मिलिट्री दल की, ब्लैक यूनिफॉर्म में थे सभी। उन्होंने हमारे ऊपर आधाधुंध फायर किया, फिर हमने उनको जवाबी कार्रवाई किया। नक्सली हमने भी बहुत मारे हैं।
25 CRPF Jawans martyred in Sukma district on Monday in the deadliest attack by Maoists this year. 7 Jawans were wounded. The attack was mounted at 12:25 p.m. in Kalapathar area of South Bastar region. The nearly 100-strong CRPF patrol providing security for road construction work came under fierce gunfire.
काफी नक्सली मारे गए हैं। ऐसा जो घायल जवान है वो बता रहे हैं, जिनको जैसा उन्होंने मारा है वो अभी बता रहे हैं। तो निश्चित रूप से जो शहीद हुए उन्होंने भी मारा होगा, तो इस तरह नक्सलियों को भी काफी नुकसान हुआ होगा।
सर, कुछ वेपन्स भी लूटने की खबर है क्या?
वेपन्स के लूटने की पूरी जानकारी तो नहीं आई है, पर चूंकि शहीद हो चुके हैं लोग और हमारी फोर्स बाद में पहुंची है, तो ऐसा आशंका है कि वेपन्स भी लूटे गए होंगे।
The area is close to the Chinta Gufa Barkapal Bheji axis, which has seen a number of such attacks in the past.
उस सड़क के पीछे उनकी सबसे बड़ी ताकत लगी है और सुकमा ही उनका पूरा मुख्यालय है। यदि ये सड़क बना तो में उनके पैर उखड़ जाएंगे। ये अंतिम लड़ाई जो पूरे देश में नक्सलियों का मुख्यालय है, तो ये इस पे बहुत बड़ा प्रतिरोध, हमको भी इस बात की आशंका रहती है कि इस क्षेत्र में, क्योंकि ये इलाका चिंता गुफा और उसके अंदर का इलाका, यहाँ पे काफी बड़ी संख्या में उनका मूवमेंट होता है।
The Chief Minister cut short his Delhi visit and rushed to Raipur. He held an emergency high-level meeting to review the situation. Home Minister Rajnath Singh also spoke to the Chief Minister and will be in Raipur today. The Home Minister also briefed the Prime Minister on the developments.
घटना बड़ी है, बहुत ही दुखद है, बहुत ही दुर्भाग्यपूर्ण है और इसे मैं एक चुनौती भी मानता हूँ। नए विकास कार्यों में वो बाधा पैदा कर रहे हैं नक्सली, इसमें कहीं दो मत नहीं है। बहुत ही विडंबना है कि हमारी सरकार, हमारे प्रधानमंत्री जिन गरीबों तक हर सुविधाएं पहुंचाना चाहते हैं, उन सुविधाओं से उन गरीबों को वंचित करने की यह कोशिश है माओवादियों की।
President Pranab Mukherjee and Prime Minister Narendra Modi condemned the attack, the Prime Minister saying the sacrifice of the personnel won't go in vain. Congress President Sonia Gandhi and Vice President Rahul Gandhi condemned the attack, calling it thoughtless violence. They also said that such attacks won't deter the fight against extremism. The party also alleged that it was an intelligence failure on part of the state and central governments.
एक महीने के अंदर ये दूसरी घटना है जब 24 सीआरपीएफ जवान वीरगति को प्राप्त हुए। इसी इलाके में कुछ चंद दिनों पहले मुख्यमंत्री स्कूटर पर फोटो खिंचवाने गए थे। फोटो तो खिंचवाते हैं, बातें बड़ी बड़ी करते हैं, पर क्या ये सीधा सीधा केस इंटेलिजेंस फेलियर का नहीं, भारत सरकार और प्रांतीय सरकार दोनों का इंटेलिजेंस फेलियर है।
The IAF carried out evacuation operation of the CRPF personnel from the spot. The incident comes at a time when the country's largest paramilitary force is without a full-time chief after K. Durga Prasad retired on February 28. Bureau Report, Rajya Sabha TV.
Well, this is one big story that we'll keep tracking through the day. Meanwhile, a situation in Jammu and Kashmir, and Chief Minister of the state Mehbooba Mufti on Monday said that the situation in the state will improve in the next 2 to 3 months. Mufti also called on Prime Minister Narendra Modi in the national capital and pressed for a dialogue with all the stakeholders to arrest the deteriorating situation in the valley. She also met Home Minister Rajnath Singh.
Jammu and Kashmir Chief Minister Mehbooba Mufti met Prime Minister Narendra Modi in New Delhi on Monday amid the deteriorating law and order situation in the state. During the meeting, Mehbooba briefed the Prime Minister on the prevailing situation in the state and the way forward. She also appealed to him to take steps for the welfare of the state. However, she cautioned that an atmosphere needs to be created for a dialogue. The two leaders also discussed the recent incidents of stone pelting and the low voter turnout in the by-poll. She emphasized that dialogue was the only way to prevent the situation from deteriorating in the valley. The Jammu and Kashmir Chief Minister also discussed the Indus Water Treaty with the Prime Minister.
जम्मू कश्मीर में पहले भी वाजपेयी जी साहब के टाइम में भी बातचीत हुई है। एल के अडवाणी डेप्यूटी प्राइम मिनिस्टर थे, हुर्रियत के साथ बात हुई है, दूसरों के साथ बात हुई है, और हमें जहां पर वाजपेयी जी छोड़ गए थे वहीं से इसको आगे ले जाना, नहीं तो जम्मू कश्मीर की हालत जो है वो सुधरने का कोई चांस नहीं है।
Later, Mehbooba also met Home Minister Rajnath Singh. She discussed various issues, particularly on the security situation in the state with him. BJP's General Secretary in charge of the state, Ram Madhav, was also present.
आने वाला वक्त 2-3 महीने हमारे लिए बहुत अहम है। इसके लिए मैं मीडिया से भी गुजारिश करूंगी कि हमारी मदद कर लें, ताकि हम जम्मू कश्मीर में जो हम हालात को सुधारना चाहते हैं उसमें मदद करें और जम्मू कश्मीर को दोबारा हम एक खुशहाल जम्मू कश्मीर बनाएं।
In another development, the PDP and the BJP, which are running the coalition government in the troubled state, are not on the same page on the issue of dealing the stone pelting. Against the backdrop of the strains, BJP's pointsman Ram Madhav asserted that there was no rift between the PDP and his party.
There is no rift. There is some issue with regard to MLC election. We noticed that there was some lack of communication between the two parties. Those things will be addressed. There is no rift between the two parties.
The valley is reeling under tension also because the PDP lost the seat to National Conference in the April 9th by-poll in about 3 years after the 2014 general elections. Bureau Report, Rajya Sabha TV.
Meanwhile, tension continued to rise in Kashmir Valley after fresh clashes broke out between college students and police on the first day of college reopening on Monday. In continuing attack on political leaders, a PDP leader was shot dead in Pulwama by unidentified men.
Unidentified militants shot dead a PDP leader and district president of Pulwama, Abdul Ghani Dar, in South Kashmir's Pingalana area. Dar, who's an advocate, was shot at 2 times in the chest and once in the shoulder from a close range with an AK assault rifle. This was the second political killing in South Kashmir in a week. Last Monday, militants killed a former public prosecutor affiliated with Opposition National Conference in Shopian district. The incident sparked tension in the valley, with fresh clashes breaking out between the protesting students and security forces at the SP College in Srinagar. Security forces used baton to disperse the crowd after students indulged in stone pelting in the area. Colleges opened in Kashmir on Monday after a gap of 5 days, as higher education institutes were shut down in the wake of student protests in the valley last week against alleged high-handedness of security forces with students in Pulwama. Taking steps to control the tension, the police shut down 90% of nearly 300 WhatsApp groups that were being used to mobilize stone pelters in Kashmir.
कानूनी कार्रवाई भी की गई है और कुछ लोग इसमें अरेस्ट भी हुए हैं। और अभी तक जो हमने देखा कि जो ग्रुप एक्टिविटी होती थी कि छोटी छोटी बात पे यहाँ से पुलिस की गाड़ी गई, यहाँ से आर्मी गई, उसकी मूवमेंट भी ये बताते थे जो कि सिक्योरिटी के हिसाब से ठीक नहीं था।
According to the police, these groups with around 250 members each were shut down in the last 3 weeks. Bureau Report, Rajya Sabha TV.
On to some other news. Vice President Mohammad Hamid Ansari will hold delegation-level talks with Armenian Prime Minister today. India and Armenia are expected to sign a host of agreements on a wide range of issues of shared common interest. On the second leg of his journey, the Vice President will be visiting Warsaw, Poland. Vice President Mohammad Hamid Ansari will hold discussions with Armenian President and Prime Minister today. While addressing the media en route to Armenia on Monday, the Vice President said that Armenia and India had old cultural ties and that India has helped Armenia in capacity building. He said his visit was aimed at building excellent political relations and goodwill the two countries traditionally shared.
They've always been very well disposed towards us. We have no quarrels with them. And we look forward to their support bilaterally and internationally. UN में इन्होंने हमेशा हमको support किया है, so they are good friends to have.
Vice President Ansari also hailed the trading acumen of Armenians and underlined that India has supported Armenia in the field of information technology. He, however, noted that the geographic location and small market size in Armenia restricted the size of its bilateral trade with India. The bilateral trade between the two countries stand at $32.2 million, while the exports from India to Armenia stand at $31.9 million. The exports from Armenia to India touch a measly figure of $0.4 million only.
एक MOU साइन कर रहे हैं, इनके पास टेक्नोलॉजीज हैं, गोल्ड टेक्नोलॉजी इनके पास बहुत अच्छी है, इसलिए कि इनके यहाँ कोल माइनिंग बहुत होती है और क्लीन कोल टेक्नोलॉजीज में हमारा इनके साथ एक वर्किंग ग्रुप है.
This is the second visit at the level of the Vice President of India to Armenia. India recognized Armenia on 26 December 1991, 3 months after it declared independence from the Soviet Union. The Vice President is on a 5-day visit to Armenia and Poland.
As India celebrates 25 years of diplomatic relationship with Armenia, Vice President Ansari is expected to hold discussions with Armenian President, Prime Minister and Foreign Minister. The visit intends to further develop and strengthen the cordial relationship between India and Armenia. Reporting from Yerevan, with camera persons Anirban and Sanjay, and with inputs from Amrita Rai, I'm Kriti Mishra for Rajya Sabha Television.
And now a look at the events that are expected to make news today. Let's take a look in the day ahead. The Supreme Court will today hear a plea challenging the government's decision to make Aadhaar mandatory for the filing of income tax returns, as well as for obtaining and retaining the permanent account number or PAN. Last week, the top court had asked the government to justify the notification in this regard. The Attorney General had earlier noted that people were giving details of PAN cards which had been procured on the basis of fake documents. A Delhi court will today hear arguments on the quantum of sentence to be awarded to gangster Chota Rajan and 3 government officials in a fake passport case. All 4 were convicted of cheating the government by obtaining a forged Indian passport, for which the punishment ranges from 7 years to life term. The 3 officials were so far out on bail, while Chota Rajan is in judicial custody. DMK opposition parties in Tamil Nadu have called for a statewide bandh today in support of drought-hit farmers. The state government has, however, asserted that normalcy will not be affected. The police say that adequate personnel have been deployed across the state to ensure maintenance of law and order. The shutdown is an attempt to urge the centre and the state government to immediately act on the demands of the farmers who are protesting in various parts of the state and in the national capital, Delhi, as well. In Breakfast News, time for a very short break. We'll be right back. Stay with us.
Make this country into a Congress Mukt Bharat. Are you going to resort to the same strategy where you'll be breaching the fortresses of other parties?
Congress is a culture. We have to get rid of that culture.
RSS will be emboldened now with the kind of mandate which BJP has got, and they will try and impose a Hindutva agenda. Does it really isolate the minorities, especially the Muslims?
All those who have been talking like this, they have always tried to disturb the secular character of this country.
health policy also talks about increased spending about 2% of the GDP. That figure is insufficient.
These are all wrong notions. We have to increase the capacity to spend.
Watch To The Point with Union Health Minister Jagat Prakash Nadda only on Rajya Sabha television.
The sacred relics of Buddha were unearthed in Piprava in Uttar Pradesh. Buddhist monks from all over the world visit the National Museum to pay their respects. These charred bone fragments of Buddha are housed in the gold canopy gifted by the royal family of Thailand.
Prime Minister Narendra Modi on Monday highlighted the importance of panchayats, saying that they were effective in fulfilling the aspirations of people in rural India. On the occasion of the National Panchayati Raj Day, the Prime Minister appreciated individuals serving people through Panchayati Raj institutions and said that they played a vital role in transformation of the country. The Prime Minister also said that the government was working towards making a Gram Uday se Bharat Uday a reality through all-round progress and grassroots level participation. The campaign was launched by the Prime Minister in April last year. On to the other top story. In an effort to stop cow smuggling, the centre has suggested to the Supreme Court a 12-digit unique number for every cow in the country. Informing the Supreme Court about the measures to be taken for cow protection and to stop the smuggling of cattle across the India-Bangladesh border, the centre said that a committee headed by Joint Secretary Home Ministry has been formed to find out ways to generate a unique identification for each cow in India. The UID will have details like age, breed, sex, lactation, height, body, color, horn type, tail switch and special marks on the animal as well. The committee also recommended building shelter homes for abandoned cows in each district to be maintained by the state government.
These are all major policy matters which should have been discussed in Parliament, and Parliament is made redundant, and Parliament didn't have any opportunity to debate this issue, and they are taking the issue to Supreme Court, the apex court of the country, and submitting what government's position is today. And this position of government was not at all discussed, debated in Parliament. This is at one level undermining the Parliament.
Does the government knows very well that 50% of pregnant women in India are underweight? What is that they want to do about it? Thirdly, the 37% children in India at the age of 5 are stunted. What is the proposal for them? See, this is what it is. The problem is the priorities of these governments are completely, they're misfocused. What needs to be done on priority, they're not concerned about it.
Sri Lankan Prime Minister Ranil Wickremesinghe will arrive on a 5-day visit to India today. He will be here till 29th of April. Wickremesinghe will get the agenda for Prime Minister Narendra Modi's trip to Colombo in May for the Vesak Day celebrations, an important Buddhist festival. Wickremesinghe will also hold talks with Prime Minister Narendra Modi to expand ties in the areas of varied interests and find a solution to the vexed fishermen issue as well. External Affairs Minister Sushma Swaraj, Home Minister Rajnath Singh and Road Transport and Shipping Minister Nitin Gadkari will also call on the visiting dignitary. Apart from strengthening economic cooperation with emphasis on economic and technical cooperation agreement, the island nation will also be discussing the development of the strategic eastern port town of Trincomalee. India and Sri Lanka will jointly operate the oil storage facility at Trincomalee. At least 73 of the 99 storage tanks in Trincomalee is to be managed under a new equity management agreement between the two countries. Cyprus President Nikos Anastasiades, accompanied by the Ministers of Finance, Energy, Transport, Agriculture and the government spokesperson, will arrive in Mumbai today. Cyprus President is on a 5-day visit to India, during which he will meet President Pranab Mukherjee and Prime Minister Narendra Modi. President Nikos is expected to sign several bilateral agreements with India. He will also meet External Affairs Minister Sushma Swaraj. On 27th of April, he is slated to address a business forum and deliver a talk at the Observer Research Foundation in Delhi. Ahead of his visit, President Nikos said that India can help Cyprus in its quest for reunification as it has close ties with Turkey. More news from across the country nationwide. The central government on Monday granted a one-year extension to Cabinet Secretary P.K. Sinha, whose two-year term is scheduled to end on 12th of June. The Appointments Committee of the Cabinet, headed by Prime Minister Narendra Modi, cleared his extension. P.K. Sinha was appointed the Cabinet Secretary in June 2015. AIADMK leader TTV Dinakaran has confessed to meeting Sukesh Chandrasekhar, the arrested middleman in the Election Commission bribery case, assuring that he was a High Court judge. On a sustained quizzing by the Delhi police, Dinakaran said that he had met Sukesh, who had posed as a High Court judge and had sought to help him in the matter. However, he denied paying any money to the middleman. He was earlier summoned by the Delhi police at his Chennai residence in the case. The Delhi unit of the Congress party approached the State Election Commission against leading media houses that rubbished and aired an opinion poll on the municipal elections. The Congress has sought registration of an FIR against the groups for violating the Election Commission guidelines and its standard operating procedure by publishing and airing the opinion polls during the 48 hours before the polls. The voting, remember, for the MCD polls were held on 23rd of April. Now, in a major decision that will impact soaring cutoffs for the college admissions, the Central Board of Secondary Education, or the CBSE, has scrapped the moderation policy. Now, under this moderation policy, students are awarded up to 15% of extra marks in certain papers if the questions are deemed to be difficult. However, the practice of awarding grace marks will continue to ensure that a student clears an exam if he or she needs a few marks to do so. Now, if the states also decide to adopt this policy, then the soaring cutoffs for admission to colleges are likely to go down. The decision was taken at a high-level meeting on Monday. The move comes after the CBSE had in December last year requested the HRD Ministry to help develop a consensus among all the state boards on completely removing the marks moderation policy, which is considered as the reason behind inflated scores in board exam results. Now, Arun Jaitley on Monday raised the issue of Pakistan and said that most acts of terrorism across the world will have some links to Pakistan and blamed Islamabad for the strained Indo-Pak ties. Jaitley was referring to a number of terror attacks which are linked to Pakistan. Speaking at the Council on Foreign Relations in New York, Jaitley said that international community has to take certain action. He pointed out that Afghanistan often blames Pakistan-based terror groups behind attacks on the war-torn country and reminded of instances when Pakistani origin people were involved in terror attacks abroad, such as the 2015 San Bernardino attack in the United States, in which a Pakistani origin man and his wife killed 14 people. Jaitley said that India has made many efforts to improve its ties with Pakistan over the last few years, only to receive a negative reaction every time. Now, news from Afghanistan, where the country's defense minister and army chief of staff have resigned in the wake of Friday's Taliban attack that left hundreds of soldiers dead. The resignations coincided with the arrival of U.S. Defense Secretary Jim Mattis for a visit to Kabul. After the visit, Mattis will give recommendations on America's strategy in Afghanistan. Now, Friday's attack at an army base near the northern Mazar-e-Sharif city has caused widespread anger in the country. It was the Taliban's deadliest attack on the armed forces since US-led forces drove them from power in 2001. Mattis called the attack on unarmed soldiers at the mosque and dining facility proof that the insurgent group was a barbaric enemy. He warned that 2017 was going to be a tough year for Afghanistan. Remember, Donald Trump's administration has not yet appointed an ambassador to Afghanistan or set out its strategy for the region. However, the recent visits could signal a new engagement.
I'd say that we're under no illusions about the challenges associated with this mission. 2017 is going to be another tough year for the valiant Afghan security forces and the international troops who have stood and will continue to stand shoulder to shoulder with Afghanistan against terrorism and against those who seek to undermine the legitimate United Nations recognized government of this nation.
And ahead of a French presidential runoff poll on 7th of May, far-right candidate Marine Le Pen announced that she was stepping aside as the leader of her National Front party to focus on the election campaign. Le Pen said that she needed to be above partisan considerations and that President of the Republic must bring together all of the French people. The move to step down comes just a day after Le Pen reached the second round of the French election, where she will face a political novice Emmanuel Macron. Now, Le Pen's move is significant considering that France's defeated political establishment is rallying against her. All political parties that faced a defeat in the first round of polls are backing Macron. On Monday, Macron won the backing of President Francois Hollande to go with that of two defeated candidates, Republican Francois Fillon and Socialist Benoit Hamon. Now, Macron, who has never held any elective office, came in first among 11 candidates in the first round with 24% of the votes. Le Pen was second with 21.3% according to the final results. The result amounted to a comprehensive rejection of traditional politics in France.
Je pense que nous approchons du moment décisif. Moi, j'ai toujours considéré que le président de la République est le président de tous les Français et qu'à ce titre, il doit donc rassembler tous les Français. Alors, c'est une conviction profonde, mais il faut maintenant passer des paroles aux actes et c'est la raison pour laquelle il m'est apparu indispensable de me mettre en congé de la présidence du Front National.
Face à un tel risque, il n'est pas possible de se taire. Pas davantage de se réfugier dans l'indifférence. La mobilisation s'impose, mais également la clarté des choix. Pour ma part, je voterai Emmanuel Macron. Je salue d'ailleurs toutes les personnalités et les formations politiques qui, au-delà même des réserves qu'elles peuvent avoir à l'égard de son projet, ont appelé à en faire de même.
And more news from across the globe in World Wrap. The entire US Senate is being called to the White House for a briefing on North Korea. Washington has become increasingly concerned at North Korean missile and nuclear tests and threat to its neighbors as well as the United States. The briefing, involving 100 senators as well as Secretary of State Rex Tillerson and Defense Secretary James Mattis, is being held on Wednesday. US President Donald Trump discussed with the German Chancellor Angela Merkel the conflicts in Syria and Yemen. Over the phone call, the two sides also spoke about the urgent security challenge posed by North Korea. Trump also reaffirmed American support for German and French-led efforts to negotiate a peaceful settlement to the conflict in Ukraine on the basis of the Minsk Agreement. And at least 16 people, including 2 children, drowned after an inflatable boat carrying refugees and migrants sank off Greece's Lesbos island. 9 bodies were recovered in the Greek territory and another 7 in Turkish waters. Meanwhile, 2 survivors have been rescued. That's all in this edition of Breakfast News. Thanks for watching.